Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of Renewed Minds. It's my pleasure to welcome Great Insights, a mental health and wellness company. And I'm delighted to have Uramu and Adekunbi Bello on the show today. They're going to be talking about specifically the theme today, which is narcissistic abuse within intimate relationships and its relevance from a spiritual context and just general mental health and well-being. So Adekunbi, I don't know if you just want to give a short introduction of yourself first, and then we'll go on to Anne as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Modupe. I'm happy to be here today because mental health is something that I'm very passionate about. My name is Adekunbi, like you've rightly said. I work with Great Insights. At Great Insights, we provide employee assistance program, which is a form of short-term counseling and mental and emotional well-being support to employees of corporate organizations. So basically, we take care of your emotional and mental health. So when you have issues with maybe your emotional well-being, you're dealing with grief or loss, you come to us, right? Unlike your general hospitals that you have to go to for your physical health. So we take care of your emotional and mental well-being. And what I do at Great Insight is I manage programs, I design initiatives, and also wellness programs for employees of corporate organizations. And I'm also a mental health advocate. Thank you.
Okay, that's fantastic. Thanks so much. And if you can just also give an introduction as well.
Okay, hi, Modupe. It's so good to be here. My name is Anne Uramu, and I am a psychologist at Great Insight. Yeah, thank you.
Brilliant, fantastic. Thanks so much. So, as I said, with the topic today, I think one of the themes I'd like us to explore initially is regarding narcissistic abuse from intimate relationships, where they can be from co-workers and the spiritual context. I think to start off, self-awareness and having that intuition to know when that abuse is happening or occurring within the relationship in terms of the damage that it can cause and actually recognizing that it's narcissistic abuse and how to move away from that and having that spiritual self-awareness. I don't know if, Anne, you want to start off with that thing.
For me, personally, I've had several cases of narcissism.
Oh, wow.
Basically, I've seen cases on the job, basically, and also personally.
Wow.
And one of the things that stood out for me, or that stands out for me, is the false sense of perfection at the beginning. You don't know that this person has this behavioral trait or this person is narcissistic per se. You just meet someone who is amazing, who cares for you, because at the beginning, this person is already used to manipulating people. So they know what to do to just bait you in and get you overtly invested in them. Yeah. So there's this false sense of perfection that comes into play in the beginning. And then you feel like you've met someone amazing. It could be a boss. It could be a loved one. It could be someone you're in a romantic relationship with. They bait you in with different things. They go all the way for you. You feel that you're in an amazing and a perfect relationship. And then gradually they begin to create doubt. You start doubting yourself.
Yeah, sure.
Right? They start making you feel that your reality or what you see is not real. And that is when you start questioning yourself. You start questioning your reality. And these are some of the signs you need to be able to like pick up to understand that you are in a narcissistic relationship or whatever. The person you're dating is a narcissist or something. So they'll start making you doubt your reality. They tell you that, oh, honey, you're just being superficial or you're just being sensitive. But these things are important things. They shove you and then they bring you closer. They push you away and then they drag you in. It's like they're dragging you in and then they're pushing you away. So you don't really know where you are. Like your sense of balance is not there. And then you start questioning yourself. You question your ability. You question yourself.
Oh,
yeah. So I'll just stop there because it's something that I'm very passionate about. I don't want to go on and on.
And
but I'd like you to guide the conversation.
Equally, I'm so passionate about it too. I mean, just discovering it is, as you said, it can happen with co-workers, intimate relationships, perhaps sometimes even in families as well. So as you were saying, I think, like you said, doubting your reality, I think that's where the forms of gaslighting can come in. And, you know, if you're not grounded, like knowing who you are and yourself and starting to doubt yourself, and it, like, it even goes into the spiritual as well, and you don't really know what your purpose is, you can start to doubt yourself. And I don't know if you want to put anything in from the spiritual context of that to apply.
Okay, okay, thank you
Anne can
so
take that.
much.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Apologies about the other time.
That's
Yes, so
fine. Don't worry
in the
about it.
spiritual context, we see that kind of relationship making the victims begin to, like Kumbi said, begin to doubt themselves,
Yeah.
and then they begin to question even some of the things that God had told them about themselves.
Yeah.
Because these people, I mean the abusers, are people who are overly they begin to think so highly of themselves, and then they begin to make you feel like you don't even have a sense of worth. They begin to make you feel like you don't even have a purpose. So they make everything about them, and then you in the picture who's the victim begin to make your life as well about theirs, and then you lose focus, you lose purpose, you lose a sense of direction in that
Yeah.
sense. And if one's not careful, the person ends up getting depressed,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
The person even ends up running. It's like, and sometimes when it happens in the spiritual context where it seemed like it's a relationship that was formed from let me say the church in that sense, because it happens. We have pastors who actually are people like that as well. So when it comes from that angle, because this person is a spiritual person, you respect this person, this is one person you look up to, you're not going to be comfortable with yourself, because it looks like you want to begin to question their own spiritual sensitivity, and you want to begin to question maybe their authority or their spiritual leadership over you. It depends on the kind of relationship. So it's really detrimental. It is detrimental. And honestly, most victims don't even know that they are getting to that point where it is affecting them spiritually. Because sometimes, instead of them going back to God to begin to get clarifications about what God has said to them personally, about their lives and their purpose, they begin to, shrink back into themselves. And then they don't even allow, the Holy Spirit minister to them when he tries to reach out. And then, a whole lot of these things. And then their whole life is muddled up. And this narcissistic person is quite comfortable, seeing them the way they are, because it gives them joy, because they don't want anyone to be a par with them. They want to be above everybody, and then they want to be the star in that sense in every situation. So they won't want you to come out of that, and then they don't even mind if you even stay there till you lose a sense of your purpose. Thank you.
Thanks so much for that, Anne. And I think just on top of what you're saying, with the spiritual context, it can be very emotionally draining for the individual that's suffering the abuse before they even realize, like you said, they might even fall into a depression of a lack of purpose. I mean, like Adekunbi said, she's really passionate about this, as I am, and I can even relate to experiences where, especially when one discovers that they're in a narcissistic abusive relationship, it can actually have a spiritual awakening for them, and it can be an opportunity for them to, like, open up maybe to perhaps God and be more in tune with their selves inside and everything. So I think that's very crucial, like you said, for them to realizing that they're in narcissistic abuse. And it just leads me to want to touch up on the other point that I wanted to discuss, which is when the empath and the narcissist, without them even knowing, they're in, you could call it a soul tie or a trauma bond, which I think they can mean basically the same thing. And I believe this can be so serious to the point where some people may even have near-death experiences. And like I said, it can lead to a spiritual awakening. I don't know if Adekunbi, maybe you can touch upon maybe some signs to watch out for. And perhaps also on this, like, words are really powerful as well. And some individuals, they wouldn't even realize, they might be saying things like, oh, we'll be with you forever, together forever, and they don't know they're actually like pronouncing a soul tie. I don't know if you want to touch on that, Adekunbi.
Yeah, thank you so much, Modupe. I am so happy that you said something about a trauma bond.
Yeah.
And then there's a soul tie. Who
Yeah.
is an empath? An empath is somebody that is in tune with the other person's emotions.
Yeah.
And who is a narcissist? A narcissist is somebody that is looking for someone that would take whatever bullshit or whatever they imitate, whatever thing they dish out, right, to them, and then not say anything, not complain, take them as they are, accept them, and then massage their ego, right?
Oh yeah,
And
definitely.
unfortunately, an empath is somebody who is very, very sympathetic. And empath, it gets to a point where the empath just feels, oh, this person can get better. An empath just expresses love, keeps showing love, and then keeps soaking, because an empath is like an emotional sponge.
Exactly.
You just keep soaking in the toxic traits, soaking in all the bad things that are happening, and then they believe that this person will get better, and then the narcissist just dwells on it and then builds on it and then keeps on keeping on, right?
Yeah.
And then when it gets to a point where you feel the empath is meant to like maybe jettison this person and leave, you will see the empath still defending. I believe this person can get better. I believe with love and the right care, this person can get better. Well, it's possible for the person to get better. But then, like we know, 90% of the time, the narcissist just takes advantage of it and just keeps going on. And one of the things that results in is the empath becomes completely used by the narcissist.
Yeah.
The empath becomes completely used by narcissist, and the narcissist who dwells in chaos. The narcissist is someone who divides to conquer.
Yeah, thrives in chaos.
The narcissist has already isolated you.
Yeah.
Has made people think you're crazy. Has already started a smear campaign concerning you. What is a smear campaign? It starts telling people that you're the bad person. And they do it in such a way that people don't see, they don't see the real person.
They don't realize
they
they're flying monkeys.
yes.
Yeah.
They start victim shaming you, right? You are the victim, but they make themselves become the victim. And then people say, oh, but this person is so nice. Like I said in the beginning, a narcissist in the beginning looks amazing, is a great person, and that is the facade other people see. But you're the one that stays with this person. You're the one that sees this person 24/7. You're the one that can tell. There was this movie I saw recently. It's called The Invisible Man. This was a very toxic relationship where the woman was an empath and the man was a narcissist. And for several years, this man would abuse her. This man would do a lot of things to her, but then she wouldn't say it. Than a narcissist, like what goes on or what ensures between them behind closed doors. This was a high-flying man in his field, and he was this industry expert that everybody respects. So people could not really relate the horrible person she paints him to be to who he is actually. And then it went on and on for several years. For several years, she was abused emotionally, psychologically, sexually. And then he built a big wall around their house and then put a dog, right? And then he put a dog so she wouldn't come out, you see. But when they go out, they go for a red carpet event, everybody sees that they're a loving couple, they're the perfect couple, and they're the power couple. But then she had to escape. And then that's when I want family to come in. Sometimes as empaths, we feel boundaries are harsh. I'm an empath, so I'm speaking from experience. We feel that when somebody just says no to us, or to say no for us, saying no is quite difficult as an empath, because you want to help everybody, you want to show love to everybody. That's just who you are. But then we need to be able to create boundaries, because once your boundaries, once there are blurry boundary lines, and a narcissist just takes advantage. So empaths need to realize that you should be able to say no and stand firm with it. You should be able to break that that toxic relationship, or that toxic toxic the toxic traits that you have, the toxic traits that this narcissist is now portraying on you. Do you know sometimes when you stay with someone for so long, you start acting like them? And then you're an empath, and then subconsciously you become a narcissist, because according to Freud's theory, we all have narcissists in us. According to Sigmund Freud, he's a psychoanalyst. So then that aspect of you that you don't even know existed will just come out, will start coming, and then you become a narcissist to people. So as empath, you need to draw the line. You need to be able to say no. There's strength in saying no. You need to understand that your personal growth you owe yourself your personal growth, and then other people's personal growth, you are not responsible for it. So if he refuses, or if she refuses to grow out of that narcissistic tendency, then you just leave them there, because you can't save the world, you can't save everybody. We have this savior syndrome, but I understand that personally I can't save the world. I can just do my bit and then move on. Thank you.
That's great. And I think, like you're saying, that just goes to show why this is so relevant spiritually, because like you said, if you start taking on some traits of the narcissist and it starts to affect you, it's going to deviate you from your purpose, your goals, what your destiny is supposed to be. And I don't know if you want to add to that, or commenting on the trauma bond when it comes to intimate relationships.
Excuse me, please. Okay, yeah. Kumbi, that was fantastic, honestly, because you just, shed a whole lot of light in that, situation. So the challenge with the whole thing is this. The narcissist doesn't see a problem. Most times they don't know that there's a problem with them. And then once, a person doesn't know that there's a problem, they cannot aim for a solution, or they cannot seek help. So as an empath, you have to understand that you can only offer help to people when they are willing, when they see a problem first, and then they're willing, to accept help, to receive help. That's one thing. So in the spiritual context, the honest truth is, for the narcissist, they are not even, I don't think they have any connection or any connection with themselves in the spiritual world. I think there's a disconnection, because they live in a lie. They live in a lie. They tell themselves, they're the best, they're the greatest, no one around them is better than them. And then, they see themselves, they exalt themselves all the time, even in their minds and even in the way they relate with other people. So they are actually disconnected from the truth, because you have to understand that you need people, and then you need to also treat them well. You don't just have them around to, do things for you. Okay, so there was this particular narcissist I met, quite a young champ, but then he was a musician, right? And then he was into a whole lot of other things. And then he had friends who come around, and he was always, controlling them. He would tell them to go clean his shoes. He was really young, like in his early 20s, tell them to go clean his shoes. And then he was in a relationship with this particular lady. And then he would say the lady is his slave. Some narcissists don't even, say these things out. This one would actually say it, that, oh, what am I using her for? She's my slave. She's just there to serve me. Excuse me, please. She's just there to serve me. And then that's how he treated her, till she had to wake up, because it was telling on her. She was losing herself. She couldn't understand what was happening anymore. She had lost focus, and then she had to, snap out of it, and then she had to leave him. But then, because of the things his friends were getting from him, okay, so they were getting, free tickets to shows, and then he would tell them, go wash my car. It was that terrible. So, he's not in tune with the spiritual world, if I may say. And even if he is, I might say that there are some demonic activities actually, happening around him, because he told me something in particular. He said there was a day in his house, he was lying on the floor, and then he said something slapped him and said, why are you lying on the floor? You're a king. And I'm like, okay, that really happened. He said, yes, but something slapped him and said, you're a king. Why are you lying on the floor? Of course, I know, he might not be necessarily making that up, because this whole thing actually transcends, beyond the physical. When you begin to do something, demons come to stamp it. Their presence basically comes to enhance and, enforce, their territory in what you're doing. So it's really important that, the empath understands this. It's beyond the physical, apparently. It has some relations with, the demonic world. Yeah. Thank you.
And yeah, like you're saying, it's deeper than this. It goes to the level that the empath shouldn't think I can do this on my own. Like, it goes deep.
Exactly.
It transcends the physical, like you said, and they have to be connected to a higher power, especially if they're going through the abuse, in order to successfully come out of that. And obviously with the support of their good families, good friends, that will have a support system to get them through it. So yeah, I'm really happy you made that point in regards to that. And also them using kind of love as a defense rather than conforming to the narcissist. But in that sense, how do you think they would be able to apply that? Because if you keep showing love to the narcissist, you're just opening up yourself to more abuse. So how would you think they'd be able to navigate that, the empath, in a way that
Okay.
it's structured to protect themselves also?
Okay. When we talk about love, love is not always, of course, we know love is kind, love is patient, love is disciplined as well. Love is very disciplined. Love is self-controlled. So
Yeah.
when an empath is, trying to help the narcissist, one thing the person has to understand is this person you're dealing with is a manipulator, and then you have to first guard your heart. If you're going to give love, it's important that love is served with discipline. Love is served with discipline. And personally, I think if you're going to help that kind of person, you need to pray for this person. Because, like Modupe said while he was speaking earlier, you can't do it by yourself. So if you're going to walk in love, you're going to show love. Love also involves you praying for this person you're trying to change, because you can't change the person. Nobody has got the power to change anybody, right? You need higher power to help you, change and work on the person. So prayerfully, do it. Prayerfully show love, ensure that you're praying, because if the person doesn't see that there's a problem, that's what we're going to be praying for, light. The person doesn't see that there's a problem, then the person can't change, and the person would not even want to change. So the first thing is, if you're walking in love towards that person and not conforming to the person's trait and letting the person rub off on you, you must pray. Let me establish that you have to pray. And then you're praying specifically for light, that his eyes will pop open, or her eyes will pop open, and they begin to see correctly, because it's only when they see or think correctly that they can act correctly. And then, like I said, love should be served with discipline. So you have to be disciplined in your relations with them. Now, the narcissist will want to talk you down, will want to make you feel less of yourself, will want to make you begin to think that you're not even smart or intelligent, begin to make you doubt your abilities, doubt your character, doubt a whole lot of things. So you have to be careful. You have to be very, what's the word? You have to be very careful. You have to be assertive. You have to be assertive. You will not let him or her talk you down. You will not let them verbally abuse you, because verbal abuse can go a long way in ruining what you think about yourself, even in changing and negatively shaping your perspective, your self perception. And then your self perception is like really important, very important to you, because the way you see yourself is the way you will begin to carry yourself, and that's the way others will also see you and carry you. So you have to ensure that you're assertive. You're not going to, that's why I said you have to be strong with the person. You have to be ready. It's like a fight, because it's like a fight. You're going to be opposing the person. You're going to be saying no when the person expects you to say yes. So love is not the whole mushy emotional thing, and then you're saying, oh, no, you're not. It has to be a tough love. It has to be a love that is disciplined, the love that is willing to, correct, because God loves us, right? And then he corrects us, he chastises us. So you have to be ready. You have to be ready to chastise the person, not just saying yes. So some people think saying yes to what the narcissist wants all the time is love, but that's not love. Love is disciplined, love is self-controlled, love is also assertive, and ensuring that the person is doing right to you or to even others. So that's it.
So thank you so much for that. I mean, I think ultimately, like you said, that's the ultimate test of love. You praying for the person that's abusing you, because that's unconditional love, and there can't be a higher level of love than that, because that's the kind of unconditional love that comes from God, isn't it? The unconditional love where it's not expected back. So thank you so much for making that point, because I think that's a very, very important point in relation to the spiritual and in relation to moving forward with your life as well. And if we just have enough time for our final point, I don't know if Adekunbi, you can just comment on this one, is the notion, and one of the reasons I really was keen to also touch on the African market, especially for this, and because a lot of people, as we know, tend to be very like religious, spiritual in Africa in general. But I think the application of like leadership when it comes to recognizing narcissism, I think we briefly touched on it when we mentioned it. Recognizing when someone is being overly arrogant, being entitled, having this sort of overconfidence, and just knowing when and how to navigate and recognize that and even deal with that day to day, whether it's with co-workers or even in political positions. I don't know if you can comment on that, Adekunbi.
All right, that's very interesting, Modupe. And it's narcissism and leadership is an age-long theory,
Yeah,
to be honest, because one of the very obvious traits of a narcissist is
yeah,
he or her, they are quite emotionally isolated.
yeah,
So they don't see your emotions. They lack empathy.
yeah,
They don't understand how you feel. So whatever they think, they live in this sense of they are grandiose, right? They see themselves as overtly superior than you are. And when they are now in positions of leadership, then they are in power. They can control you. They
exactly.
call the shots. So whatever you say, because another thing that another trait they have is they are poor listeners. So whatever you say, whatever you feel you're trying to like explain, whatever case you're trying to make falls on deaf ears because they don't see you,
Mm, mm,
right? They don't see you. They see that they believe that they are better than you are. So whatever you need to say or whatever you need to is not relevant,
yeah,
right? And that's why narcissists, although there's a theory called productive narcissism, but
mm,
then most narcissists they have very negative traits, and I'm going to be calling some of them so that you can identify them in your leaders, and then you know what to do. Number one, they are very sensitive to criticism. So a
oh
narcissistic
wow,
leader does not want to hear
yeah,
they hate it when you criticize them, and so they'll put in measures to curb you trying to speak or your freedom of speech or you trying to say what you know. They
yeah,
hate to be criticized. They don't. There's nothing like constructive feedback in their dictionary. They don't want to hear that because they are perfect. They are perfect. Like
yeah,
that's the
exactly.
grandiosity in
Themselves,
their
yeah,
head. They are perfect in all their ways, and it's only God that is perfect. So I don't understand where they came from. And then they lack empathy.
yeah,
Yeah, they lack empathy because um, how would you feel that whatever you say should be final? If how do you think that whatever you say should be final? How do you think that all your ideologies are the right things,
mm,
right? And one of the funny things is that they live in a bubble. They
yeah,
actually live in a bubble because if you're a narcissist, I keep having issues pronouncing narcissist. Okay, so if you're a narcissist, you feel that there's this sense of inauthenticity around you
mm,
because you are trying as much as possible to create a film around you, like, oh, this is who I am, but you are not really that person,
mm,
right? You're not really that person. You're just trying to create a figment of your imagination.
yeah,
And then another problem with narcissists is that they hate mentoring. They don't believe that you can be like them. You know, if you're a mentor, you're
mm,
trying to build your mentee to become like you or even surpass you. But
mm,
narcissists will never mentor you
mm,
because they feel that nobody can be like them.
yeah.
Like I said, they're perfect in all their ways.
Oh, it's
And then
profound.
they have this intense desire to compete because when put a narcissist on a team and then you see that there's a lot of toxic issues springing up because they're always trying to compete, even in matters that needs teamwork. They tell you that they like teamwork, but what they need is a yes team, a team that always says yes to any of their whims,
Yeah,
basically. So when you throw a narcissist in a team, you're calling the shots for division and for chaos on your team.
yeah, yeah,
So as a leader, having a narcissist as your leader just really it truncates a lot of things.
hard work.
Productivity will be low. Your productivity will be low. You won't meet your goals. Your followers, although sometimes because of that facade they create, they tend to have plenty followers. But when people really see through them, then they start losing followers. And then before you know it, they
Yeah,
come spirally down. Like they are,
exactly.
they are they are so high up there and then they fall.
Yeah,
And
and
then they fall. So and then one thing I would recommend basically is most narcissists, some of them grew up living with maybe narcissistic parents or maybe guardians, they might, therapy can help. Yeah, speaking with someone can help. Yes, therapy can help. And then love, like Anne said, tough love, not just love, tough love.
Tough love.
Love dished with discipline. Yeah, can help. Thank you.
So thanks so much for that. In conclusion, guys, I would just like to say, how would you say, you know, the abusers can cope and heal with a renewed mind, having the strength to come out of whatever abuse they're going through, and having that sensitivity to spiritual self, and what perhaps they can do going forward with great insights as a service too. Yeah, I don't know if you want to take that, Adekunbi, first.
Okay, so we know this part of the world. A lot of times when you say there's a problem, especially when it's not a physical health problem, people say, "Oh, get over it. Just pray to God and all that." Yeah. So I believe that therapy can help. Reaching out and speaking with a professional can help. CBT, there's something called cognitive behavioral therapy that psychologists and psychotherapists use for people who have been victims of abuse, whatever kind of abuse. People that are currently suffering from maybe post-traumatic stress. Because trust me, being with a narcissist or working with a narcissist or having experienced any form of narcissism in your life, you will definitely exhibit some symptoms of PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. So you would need to reach out to mental health professionals. You would need therapy. You would need talk therapy, yes. You would need therapy, talk therapy, and also you'd also need support, maybe a support group. Yeah, there are a lot of virtual support groups online now. We also have a support group, Grey Insights Wellness Group, that we have for people like this. So you reach out. You also see people that have also gone through the same thing that you've been through, and then you learn some strategies, adaptive coping strategies, not maladaptive, please. Adaptive, the positive ones, then you'll be able to also exchange stories, and then with time, because these things take time. Trust me, you need to be able to. You need to be patient with yourself. You don't just get better all of a sudden. And one funny thing about this is that even when you've moved on, sometimes you still doubt yourself because of that the internalization of all the things this narcissist has said to you. You still second guess yourself. You do all things like that still crop up. But then that's when the supportive family, supportive structure, maybe friends, or maybe the new relationship, the person that you're with, you need to be open to this person and tell them that, okay, this is what I've been through. So in case you're seeing me exhibit some of these traits, please call me out on it and then lovingly correct, or try and share resources with me that could help me. Do you understand? You need to be open about it. People need to speak up about this. I've been in a narcissistic friendship before. It wasn't even a relationship, it was just a friendship. And for many years, I was the shadow of this person. And then it took a lot of reconditioning and affirmation to be able to come out of that space and become who I am today. And then having absolutely loving friends and intentional friends around me. So therapy works, support structure works, and you personally, you need to make a decision that you're going to get better. You're going to, even when you lapse, because second guessing yourself is a form of lapse. You still come back. You don't take that as defeat. You still keep pushing on. You keep keeping on, and that's it. And then I would also recommend what we do at Grey Insights. We're doing amazing work at Grey Insights. We're helping people become the best version of themselves, helping people through emotional issues, mental trauma, and the likes. So Grey Insights is, we have a team of psychiatrists, psychotherapists, behavioral well-being experts that can help you get through this, right? So we also have a toll-free line, 0800 Grey Insights. You can reach out to us for free. You can call us. And you don't need to say, oh, I don't have airtime to call. Call us for free on 0800 Grey Insights, and then somebody will be at the end of the call to pick your call. So I also like Anne to just chip in some things from our own perspective, and then we'll round up. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Adekunbi. Go on.
Okay, thank you so much, Kumbi. Thank you, Modupe. I want to stress on therapy because that's like one thing I'm really interested in. So cognitive behavioral therapy, as Kumbi has said, is really essential and can help the victim recover from whatever the narcissist has done. Because the honest truth is, when it comes to recovery, like Kumbi said, a lot of internalization has taken place. You've taken in a whole lot. You've taken in thoughts that are not, necessarily yours, thoughts that are self-destructive, thoughts that are detrimental to your mental health and even to your productivity and your well-being in general. Yes, because you're taking those thoughts begin to affect your behavior. Those thoughts begin to, regulate the things that you do, the things that you say, and it begins to affect your life generally, even in your relationships with other people. So the therapy comes in. When it comes to CBT especially, like, lots of therapies, but when it comes to CBT especially, it comes to tackle the thoughts. We're not just trying to change your behavior. We're not just trying to, make you do better. We're trying to get into your head. We're trying to get into your thought patterns. We're trying to, excavate those destructive thoughts that you have taken on due to your relationship with a narcissistic person. And then we excavate those things. And it's important that the person needs to, tackle the thoughts that they have picked on, they have internalized. It might take a while because, these things happened over time. And then Kumbi was talking about, reconditioning. So it's really important that, the person seeks therapy, the person seeks help. That's what we do at Great Insights, because we've had people who have gone through, trauma. And then honestly, it's actually traumatic being with a narcissistic person. So, tackle the thoughts, rationalize the thoughts, and then it then begins to influence the way they behave. So the mind is really important in dealing with this. The mind is important. We work in the mind. We ensure that the person is renewing the thoughts to productive thoughts, to, self-lifting thoughts and self-edifying thoughts. And then when they, work on their thoughts and their minds, it begins to influence the behavior. So that's, one way I know that, the victim or the empath can heal. It might take a while, but not long a while, but it works. It's so effective. Yeah, thank you. That's
brilliant. Thank you so much. And that's another thing that I admire that you guys are doing. So what I'll do is I'll definitely put on the comments, for people, if they want to know more about or engage in your services, I'll put those in the comments down below. And like I said, this is what it's all about. It's all about having the renewed mind, because that's where the battle is won and lost. Yeah. So guys, I just want to thank you so much. I've really appreciated your time and thank you for, just going through these in details, because this abuse called narcissism can actually save lives, having this knowledge. So I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show and share your knowledge with us and your passion for this topic. Thank you so much, Adekunbi. Thank you so much, Anne. And hopefully in future, we'll be able to welcome you for other episodes. Thank you.
Thank you, Modupe. We appreciate it.
So much, Modupe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a lovely night.
Yeah, I will do. Thank you. Cheers.
All right.
So guys, hope we received a lot of insight into narcissistic abuse within intimate relationships and the relevance from a spiritual context. So I'll be having more episodes as we go along. Do make your comments, subscribe down below. And also, if you want to engage in any Great Insight services, I'll put a link down below. Thank you so much, and stay tuned for future episodes. Peace out.